quick about your foundation, right? Where is your foundation at? So, when I got done playing professional baseball, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I didn't know what I was going to do with my school. I didn't know what I was going to do with the degree, whether I was going to continue to pursue sport management or journalism. So I was kind of up in the air. I didn't know what to do. So I started to get a job, right? I did what anyone would do at 25 years old. I went and got a job. And I started working for my dad's friend, and he was a real estate investor, and he would flip homes. Okay, so I started doing labor for him, learning the real estate game, learning the flipping game, but really just kind of, at times just doing labor. And I would catch on to things, quickly. And then I decided to go to real estate school. This is about 6 years ago now, before I got married. And I remember there was this one day where I was moving rock, right? I was moving boulders around the yard. So we were cleaning up this house to get ready to sell. And the last thing that we were doing was making the yard look pretty. And I remember taking this boulder to these different locations. And my dad's friend, his name was Ron. And Ron would be like, no, 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 I want the boulder over there. And then, a couple hours later, he'd come back, hey, Lance, I thought about it again. I want the boulder over here. And meanwhile, this boulder is like 100, 150 pounds. And maybe it wasn't that heavy, maybe 75 to 100 pounds, but it was pretty big and it was hard to move. Like I had to pick it up, and it was one of those things that it would be tough for somebody to move. And I'm 31 now, so I was 25 at the time. And I'm picking up this boulder, I'm moving it all over the yard, and Ron can't decide where he wants it. And now, we look back at that moment, and whenever I see him and he says, hey, to this day, man, you're still the best rock mover I've ever seen. I've never seen somebody move rock so well. And it's a funny joke, but the reality of this is I just want to have you guys think about your foundation right now, because no matter where I move the rock around the yard, no matter if it rained, no matter if it got windy, no matter if it stormed, it didn't matter where I moved the rock. It didn't matter where I placed the rock. At the end of the day, the rock will always be a rock. The rock is never changed by its external environment. The rock is always a rock. Now, the difference between rock and sand, my friends, is sand can change depending upon its external environment. Whereas the rock, doesn't matter where I moved it in the yard, it's always going to be a rock. But sand, the closer it is to water, the harder and more compacted it can get. Actually, sand, when it's compacted, can feel like it's on a firm foundation. Sand, when it's by water, can feel like it's steady, like you can run on it, right? Close to the beach, you can go for a run right next to the water. That sand is going to be compacted, and it's going to feel a little bit like concrete. You're going to feel like, man, I'm on a firm, fixed foundation. But just a few yards, maybe 10, 20, 30 yards away from where that sand is compacted because of the water, the sand is actually soft. The sand is actually shifting when it's dried out. So the sand that's dried out, if you try to go work out or you try to go run on sand or walk in sand that's dried out, it shifts. It moves. Your foot goes down into it. Your foot goes over into it. It's hard to get a footing. It's hard to be on a fixed and firm foundation when the sand is dry. So the point is, where have you built your foundation? Have you put your foundation on the rock, which is immovable, which is constantly going to be a rock? Or have you put your foundation and truly your identity in who you are on shifting sand? Because if you're like the sand right now, you might think that you're a firm foundation. You might think that you're strong. You might think that your identity is secure. But is your identity secure because waves and water have been compacting you, right? When waves and water compact the sand, it makes it hard. But that same sand that becomes hard because of water is the same sand that could become soft because of the sun. Don't miss that. The same sand that becomes hard because of water and compacted because of water is the same sand that if you just move it 10 or 20, 30 yards away from the water, it can become soft because of the sun. So a lot of times in life, we will be like the sand where we think, man, my identity is firm, who I am is firm, who I am is secure. But in reality, that security is a false sense of security because it's dependent on your external environment. The sand depends on its external environment, whether it's wet or dry, to determine how secure it is. So the same thing in our life. A lot of times We will place our identity in things. We'll place our identity in people. We'll place our identity in money. We'll place our identity in external factors that we don't can't always control. So, my question to you is your identity in something that feels secure but is only secure because of the external environment, is only secure because of the external circumstances, right? If your identity is in money, that is like the sand. Okay, because when money is flowing, when money is going good, it feels like a firm foundation. But that firm foundation can easily be removed from you when money stops flowing. So the goal is to be like a rock, to know exactly who you are, to know exactly what you're supposed to do, to know exactly who you're created to be, no matter what your environment around you is doing. So be like the rock, no matter where you move, no matter where you go, no matter if it's windy, no matter if it's stormy, no matter if it's rainy, it doesn't matter where the rock goes or where it gets placed or what happens to the rock. It will always be a rock. And when you are the rock, you know that your value doesn't come from the external. Your value doesn't, and your worth doesn't come from your environment. Your value and your worth doesn't come from money. It doesn't come from a job. It doesn't come from a title. It comes from within. Because a rock will always be a rock, and the rock knows internally that it doesn't matter what goes on externally, it's always going to be a rock. Now, for you, do you know who you are? Do you know why you're here? Do you know what you're called to do? Do you know exactly that you're worthy? Do you know exactly that you're supposed to be here? Do you know exactly that what you've been through, it does not matter what you've been through, that is positioning you to do greater things in life, but your identity is secured no matter what is going on in your life. So, friends, don't be like the shifting sand that when it's compacted because of water, things are going good and you feel like, man, my identity is secure. No, 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 because soon that same sand can be moved into the sun and you can now you don't feel secure. But the rock, no matter where it gets placed, it always knows its identity. So for you today, I want you to know that your identity needs to be secure. It needs to be on a fixed, firm foundation. And you can find a fixed, firm foundation in your identity in Jesus Christ. You can find a fixed, firm foundation in your identity in God. God is your provider. God is the one who gives you value. That's whose you are. You are nothing else. You're not your circumstances. You are not what's going on in life, right? Those are just things that happen to you. Let it happen, right? Grow, become better, learn, become the best version of you you can be because your circumstances, your environment, your lack of money, your job title, all those things are great, right? All those things happen in life, but let those things happen. That doesn't determine your worth and your value. Be like the rock. And no matter what's going on the outside, no matter what's going on in your environment, know within that you're worthy, know within that you're called. And things that happen to you on the outside don't affect who you are on the inside, right? That's where your foundation needs to be. That's where identity needs to be. It needs to be like the rock, not like the shifting sand. Y'all with me? I hope you are. Have a blessed evening, my friends. Peace.